there's going to be challenges whatever you do. So you may as well choose the ones that actually, you enjoy and you're feeling like you're learning and growing. Humans evolved to survive. We didn't evolve to be happy. We didn't evolve to, be positive when things go wrong. Actually, fight or flight's there for a reason. It's to get us out or to get us, to fight the other person or whatever danger's there. I've met some of the most productive, high-flying entrepreneurs who live in a constant state of peace and ease. And I was burst into tears because I thought, oh my God, it's possible. I didn't think it was.
No Bullshit Talks is a podcast for entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs. There's too much bullshit out there, especially when it comes to business. This podcast aims to highlight what's true and what's not in the world of entrepreneurship, bringing you honest and raw conversations about the roller coaster that is entrepreneurship. Each week, my guest will be a high-performing entrepreneur sharing the ups and downs of their journey and helping you prepare for the road ahead, while providing you with actionable insights and absolute gems of knowledge. Stay tuned as I introduce this week's guest. Marcus Hemsley is the co-founder at one of the UK's top marketing agencies, Fountain Partnership. He's also the creator of the Military Pledge and most recently the founder of a new retreat business, Reconnect. Marcus's dedication to sustainability is admirable and inspiring, but so is his commitment to personal development and helping others grow. He's considered to be a super connector, and we find out why in this episode. I present to you this week's guest, Marcus Hemsley. Marcus Hemsley, welcome to No Bullshit Talks.
I'm happy to be here, Sabrina.
Good. Well, if you weren't, I'd be telling you to leave, so, So, you do a million things. I feel like, do you know what? Pot kettle saying that, I feel like.
Yeah.
I know. So let's just ignore that. I know you as a marketing agency owner, but you now do a few other things and you've been starting a new company. So do you want to tell the audience a little bit about what you do and describe yourself in your own words?
Yeah, okay. So I'm a business owner and I do a number of things. So I run a marketing agency, so I help brilliant companies grow. I have got involved in a retreat company, so I help stressed out founders have less stress, enjoy their lives a bit more, make more money whilst having less stress, if that's possible. And I have a not-for-profit called the Military Pledge, and that's small businesses taking big action on the climate crisis. So yes, I'm pulled in multiple directions, and yes, I'm all over the place, a bit like someone else I know.
And do you know what you were saying about the Military Pledge? Your love for sustainability is why I wore green today. I was like, I'm wearing green because, you're a big sustainability advocate. So there you go. That was my part for the planet. Obviously doesn't even do anything. But I had my branding hat on and I thought that was appropriate colour scheme for this talk. But we're not going to talk about sustainability yet. We'll touch on that in a moment because I feel like you just said you help out stressed out founders. And, I think every founder out there is thinking, I do understand what stress is. No one warned me about this before I started a business. But you've been running a marketing agency and agencies are not easy. I feel like agencies bring a whole different level of stress, personally. I'm like, okay, agencies kill me. But then you decide to start another business on top of that. Is that not just adding more stress to your plate?
It was, and I had actually taken a bit of time out and stepped back from the agency. And then, of course, I'd stepped back into the agency. So now I'm having to actually live and walk the walk of what we teach people on the retreats. So, with hindsight, if I knew what was going to happen, maybe I wouldn't have dived into another business. But I don't know if you're like me, I imagine you are, right? Like most entrepreneurs, we just can't stop. So when I take time off, even if I retired, I took a bit of a step back from the marketing agency, all I was thinking about was the next project. What can I do? What can I do? So it's quite a nice thing when you realise that actually, oh God, I can never actually retire in as much as sitting on a beach and doing nothing, right? Or just taking up golf and doing that all day. So there's always something I've got to be working towards. It's like, oh, okay, that's cool. And that's actually quite a strength. I never have to force myself. I can sort of just trust that I'm wired a certain way. A lot of entrepreneurs are. So actually a lot of the personal development isn't that necessary for me because I don't need to be motivated to get up in the morning. I wake up and I'm like, I just want to do this because I love doing it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of cool. The risk is you don't know when to stop.
Yeah.
And you don't listen to your body. And you just push through, and the next thing you know, you start getting, like I started getting at one point in 2018, I burnt out and got neurological symptoms. So I woke up one day and I lost feeling in my arms and legs, and it was terrifying. I could still move them, but I couldn't actually feel them.
Which is so weird.
I was awful. Went straight to the GP, and then when the GP looks worried, you know there's a problem. He's like, yeah, I think you should go straight to A&E. So he thought I had, I forget the name of it, but it was like an infection in the brain. It wasn't that. I went to a neurologist, they scanned me, they said, no, it's a stress-related, it's called functional neurological disorder. And they're like, your body should have been telling you and giving you signs, and it probably was. But of course, I was just getting up and working. I decided at the same time also to try a plant-based diet. I decided to hire a PT and meet with him at 5.
Was that all at the same time?
Yes.
Oh my God, no wonder your body was in shock. Like, people always say, like, do one thing at a time, do it small. You just like, okay, I'm just going to do all these life changes in one go. Your body was like, no, thanks. No, that's basically what happened.
I don't know if other people can relate to this, but I just get excited by like, oh, I could achieve this, I could achieve that, and I want it. And then that always gives me energy. The thought of the goal gives me energy. But I think the thing I've learned is actually I'm feeling my thinking in the moment, and I can let go of that as well and just trust that actually there's going to be a natural sort of like excitement towards things. But I think it comes with age as well, because I was lucky. I set up my first business in my early 20s. And back then you had that energy naturally. As I got into my 30s, I started getting those symptoms, started getting problems. So it's just tuning into the body. I was chatting to someone fascinating out in Silicon Valley. She deals with like entrepreneurs that are on the edge of burnout. And she says there's a distinction between peace money and anxious money. And she's like, Marcus, you're really good at making anxious money, right? You're really good at getting anxious and stressed and going out and making money. Anyone can do that. Trouble with that is there's collateral damage.
On your body and on your mind.
And on your relationships and everything else, right? So it's like, this is a really cool idea. What about peace money? So mastery is like being in the zone, being relaxed, and then being able to make money, which is true, right? Because business is an intellectual sport. So actually, like, when you're in fight or flight, when you're stressed, you can think to an extent, but you now have your best ideas, right? So like, let's just take you, for example. Where do you have your best ideas, Sabrina?
In the infinity pool inside the spa downstairs. That's where I genuinely do. Yeah. Like, I just lie back and it's so relaxing. The jets are on and I'm just like, and it reminds me of, I'm a big Friends fan. It reminds me of that scene in Friends where Chandler's like, could I be more relaxed? Or like, that's how I feel like it's sort of saying it. And just, and he's in the bath, the episode in his bath is like, it's hard to care when you're this relaxed. Like, that's how I feel. And I just lie back, I just stop thinking about things. And obviously I don't have my phone, I don't have music, I don't have anything distracting. And these ideas just flood into my head and I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing. And that's where it happens.
Exactly. And everyone's the same, right? People say when they're going for a walk, where on a holiday, etc. Yet we kind of live in a world where we're overly processed, overly stimulated, and we haven't got space to be that creative and get those insights. Yet it's those insights, those best ideas that have probably propelled us to where we are today. So I'm sort of trying playing this idea, and this is what we help people on the retreat company, is like, okay, how can we make that peace money? How can we slow down to the speed of life and get the best ideas and do it in a way that's sustainable so that our bodies don't burn out, so we don't have the collateral damage? That's a cool thing to play with. So answering your earlier question, yes, I've taken a lot on and it happened slightly accidentally because I thought I had more time than I did, but I'm trying to walk the walk with it. I'm trying to play with this. So it's like, okay, I'm coming back in and helping to manage a team of 40-something running an agency, which, like you say, is stressful because it's a service business, it's relationships. And if you've got so many people, so many stakeholders, so many clients, so many employees, people are going to have bad moods, people are going to misunderstand each other. There's going to be, like, business things go wrong, like it just happens. So you're having to deal with those fires. The more people there are, the more fires, the more things that can come at you. So being able to just have that resilience and actually come to it more in the zone and not sort of, have that sort of emotional roller coaster. I think one of my favourite terms in a minute is emotional sovereignty. That's sort of my word for the year, right? Or words.
Yeah.
I know that's where your brain.
I was like, phrase, you mean?
Exactly. But I love that because actually, again, this is me being no bullshit. Up until quite recently, I would lose my shit. I would never scream at team members or anything like that, but I would get quite passive aggressive. I would be really kind of like just actively showing my disappointment in them, and that has collateral damage as well, right?
100%.
There's that book, what's it called, The Promise of Giants? I forget the author.
I haven't seen that.
So he's a brilliant guy. He's like a sort of like 7-foot ex-NBA star, and he's this massive dude.
Oh, really?
And it's just the problem you have of being a leader is that you have a disproportionate amounts of like impact on the world and other people you don't realise. And he uses the analogy of his own body, right? He was at a wedding once, And he never dances. If you're a big guy, you don't want to dance, you might knock someone flying. Yeah. Also, he's worried about knocking people flying or whatever. He's an absolutely massive, like sort of shack-sized dude. Anyways, yeah, it was her wedding, he's a bit drunk. So come on, come and dance for it's okay. And he started dancing, he let himself go and put his elbows up. All of a sudden, he hears a scream, he looks round, and this woman's covered in blood. And he'd broken her nose and he felt it. And the point is when you're in a position of leadership, you can cause such a big impact and not even feel it.
But that was his biggest fear. He's never going to dance again after that.
I don't know if he's any good anyway, so if he did.
Still, he might have enjoyed it.
So I think that's the trouble. It's this sort of, we have this disproportionate impact as leaders, as entrepreneurs. We're also hyper sped up. Most of us are very obsessive. You know, we're more likely to be in fight or flight. And we've had some success in making anxious money, but actually there's a lot of problems that come with it. So how do we switch to peace money? And that's something I'm playing around with. That's where I'm at right now. But being quite raw and looking at all the fuck ups I've made, I've learned the hard way, to be honest.
Let's tell me about those fuck ups, and I want to hear.
Oh God. Okay. Well, let's tell the story of why I gave up alcohol. That's all. You know that.
That is a good story, but I do want you to share that because it's a good story.
Oh God. So I was best man at my best friend's wedding, and it was a midweek wedding. He had no money. I'll do the abridged version because there's lots of silliness, but essentially, he asked me to also run the wedding. I was going to say project manage. My head was in agency. He asked me to be the wedding planner the night before as well as being the best man because he had no money. So I was like, okay, like complaining in my head, sort of in victim mode. But that morning I explained to like one of the barmen who was putting out the chairs for the venue. He's like, oh, I've got a solution. Boom, pint Stella. I was like, this isn't a bad idea, but a Dutch courage throughout the day will help me manage the wedding. You know, I didn't get too drunk, so I didn't like do a bad job with the speech, but I forgot to eat. So full day of drinking, empty stomach. Gave a brilliant speech, or I thought was good anyway. But I feel very happy by the end. I pulled it off. Look at that.
Of course, you just feel happy. 7 beers in.
Absolutely battered, you know, sambucas, everything, but nasty. So they had a UK garage hour at the end from the cert today.
Like, how old were you? Like 17? Sambucas, UK garage. I mean, come
I
on.
was 32. But
No judgment.
you know, reliving lost youth. Anyway, next day I'm sort of hugging the toilet dramatically, and I get a call, and it's one of my team members saying, look, yeah, do you mind checking the reports about to go to our biggest client? And this client paid us £500,000 a year, 45 grand a month. And I was like, look, I would, but I'm so ill, I just can't look at this, I can't think straight. Just get a triple proofread, it'll be fine. I thought it was fine. And the next week the client brings up a new marketing director just in the role, like, Marcus, you run a data-driven agency, don't you? It's like, yes, we do, Kate. She goes, how the fuck can you say that when the data was all wrong? And it's, oh God. And I knew what happened. Whoever had copy and pasted all the tables in Excel had pasted them like into the InDesign document the wrong way around. Because in InDesign, you can't do the whole tape. You've got to do it in each individual cell. The thing is, I wouldn't say I'm autistic. I have a son who has autism, but I'm pretty sharp with numbers. If I see that something doesn't add up, I just get a weird sense. I would have noticed that. But my team didn't notice it. Kate didn't notice it. So she then presented to the board of this PLC. Of course, the CFO saw straight away. He's like, Kate, your numbers don't add up. And she said, like, Marcus, I just fell apart. You know, it's my first presentation, biggest job of my career. She goes, that's it. I'm firing you guys. That was £45 million retainer. 45 million, God, I wish. No, 45 pounds.
I mean,
it felt like 49 million. Therefore, like 45 million.
I mean,
and that was because I was hungover. And so I was just like, right, that's it. Alcohol, me.
Do you know what's interesting with that story? You know, like even hearing it again, I've heard that. Like, yeah. I'm sitting here thinking, do you know how many other business owners would tell that story and be like, well, my team fucks up. They lost us this client because they put in the numbers in the wrong order. How stupid are they? They cost us £500,000. There were so many people who would have told the story that way.
Yeah.
And they would have totally blamed their team and be like, how incompetent are they? Don't you know how much I pay them and their salary? They can't even look at numbers. Like, this is what they would do. And they'd berate them. They'd go into the office and make them feel like crap and guilt trip them about losing the biggest client. That's what the difference. That's what, when I hear you tell that story though, there is such an insurmountable accountability in what you're saying that you took that onus upon yourself and felt like, actually, I let the team down because I should have checked that. And then I would have noticed it and we wouldn't have had that happen. So you also shouldn't be so hard on yourself in the fact that, you've literally given up alcohol because of this incident, right? And that's how much responsibility you're taking for that instead of blaming your team. So no matter how crap you feel as a leader, just think that I reckon so many more people would have gone to the office and blamed other people. But at the same time, you also your worst critic, and you might not. But people always say don't take as much on it. So there's obviously joint accountability there, and like, where did it go wrong? Like, whose fault? Who's going to say whose fault is it? But like, obviously, a lot of people had a role to play there.
Well, there's a number of things. I try to get to the truth, right? I think the game of business and life can be won the closer you get to the truth, which is why I love this idea of no bullshit. So the truth is that, yeah, I'm not 100% responsible, but then nobody is, right? And I've said this to the team actually a few times. When I've been remotely half decent, I'm often not with them if I'm being honest. But I say, look, okay, like we lost a client, I won't say their name, but you know them, and I was quite annoyed with the team, and I thought, actually, look, like, I think it was almost all their fault, right? But there's things I could have done differently, and there was about 6 people that were stakeholders in that. So I came in and said, look, 0 to 100 in responsibility, we will take a number, and I don't really care what it is, but let's all do that, and let's look at what we can control.
I like that. It's a really good exercise.
Because it's true, because it is, okay, so it might be like, and I if I was like being generous to them, I say, look, okay, I'll take 25% of the blame. And
that's a lot to do.
But do you know what I mean? Like, you can just say, like, actually, between us, me and Sabrina, you've had a fallout. Okay, right, we can take 50-50 of the blame. Or I can say, look, I'll take 70%. I should have said this and this to you. Because the truth is, I can control me. And actually, that allows me to have that growth mindset. I think that's the big distinction between people that get ahead and people that don't. It's the old adage of growth versus fixed mindset. And you need to always be growing and always learning. And if you're not saying, actually, here's what I would have done differently, it hurts though, but then that's why you learn, right? It's the same way, like, you take your hand off a hot stove because it hurts. You're getting feedback.
Yeah.
But life's a contact sport, as you know, I like to say. And it is though. It is contact, but I love playing the game.
I just think, like, it's a great exercise. And I think that, like you said, it hurts, but pretty much most things hurt which are good for you, like no pain, no gain and all that. Like, it, people don't want to go to they go to the gym and they want to lose weight, but then they don't want to push themselves to the point where, but it's always you pushing yourself. That's what causes growth at the end of the day as well.
Yeah, I think you normalise the discomfort, and I think you say, actually, because the truth is, if you take the easy route now, your life will get harder, right? So I could take the easy route and not go to the gym later, and I could eat chocolate, and I could smoke a cigarette and drink some alcohol tonight. I could do all of those things if I wanted, and they'd actually be nicer in the short run. But if I continue that over a period of time, my life will get infinitely worse. So you just choose your pain, right? I mean, Mark Manson says that, was it subtle art of not giving a fuck, right? It's just like, there's going to be challenges whatever you do. So you may as well choose the ones that actually, you enjoy and you're feeling like you're learning and growing. But it is a mature attitude, though. I think everything's all about maturity, right? Most problems that people encounter, the reason they're struggling is because they're not sophisticated enough, right? My son, if I showed him, he's 10 years old, he doesn't know algebra yet. If I said, 4x equals 16, what does x equal? He wouldn't be able to say 4. He'd just go, don't know, Daddy. And the same with most, but as he gets older and learns algebra, he'll be able to go, oh, yeah, it's 4. And it's exactly the same with most problems in life. Like, don't wish it were easier, wish you were better. And not in like, oh, I'm terrible, but it's like, okay, how can I learn this? But again, you can't do this from anxious energy. If you're on fight or flight and you're like on your phone and rushing around, I'm exactly the same. If I'm really anxious, fuck all this stuff. Like, I can't think this clearly because I'm in fight or flight. And then I fall into victim mindset of like, you did this to me, and it's me against the world, and I've got to go and rescue a thing now, and I have fed up of it, and blah, blah, blah. And I'd get seduced by those thoughts all the time, let's not, I mean, you've heard me complain a few times.
And I'm the same. Victim mindset is probably one of my biggest weaknesses, I think.
Yeah. And yeah, there's that modern psychology where you move up, it's sort of the drama triangle and the winner's triangle. So you move away from victim to vulnerable and be like, look, Sabrina, the reason I was being a bit, arsy with you earlier is because I'm just really scared about problems in my business. And I took all of that thinking and transmitted it over to you, and it's nothing to do with you, and I'm really sorry. Like, that is much better than being like, Sabrina, you really shouldn't have spoken to me like that. Like, that's fucking out of order.
But it's a huge difference. And it's a huge difference, but it's also really difficult to do. Like, what you've just said there, it's so easy to be like, you this, you that, you that. Transferring that blame, that's easy. Yeah. Anyone can do that. You'd be like, it's her fault, your fault, whatever. Oh, God, aren't they incompetent? And it's so easy to just shift that blame to other people. It's so hard to take that ownership and to just be like, do you know what, I was wrong, that actually And also then not only admit that you're wrong, because you might know you're wrong deep down inside, but then coming out and saying it to the person's face and actually apologising and saying what you're actually scared of, that is probably one of some people's biggest fear.
That's horrible.
It is, right? And it doesn't, and but it does get easier, I think. I think it gets much easier. And I think every time you do it, not only does the other person massively appreciate it, it just makes you grow as a person every single time. And I think that also, as I've started to realise when I'm in that victim mindset, like I definitely go, oh my God, like all this stuff's happening. And like, you know, I kind of like be like, oh my God, why do I always have to do all this stuff? And I'm always got all these things going on. But like I said, everyone's accountable for some part, whatever that percentage is. And you have to kind of, you take the time to do it and then you learn from it. Like every single time you do that, you grow so much more, you learn so much. But I guess it's, again, you were saying about, you know, maturity is a mature thing, but it's also that short-term versus long-term thing. And I think like that short-term pain, whether it's going to the gym, whether it's like saying no to a dessert, whether it's like, you know, like I said, or admitting fault, like all these things are not pleasant. No. They're not fun to do. And you'd rather like just take the easy way out. But by doing that, every single time, the long term is going to have phenomenal results, right? And that's the difference.
Well, and neither's lifting weights, neither's, you know, not smoking or like all of these things you need to do to grow, like you say, and it's not easy, not comfortable. And again, that's a maturity thing, right? That's why, like, Rebecca might be listening to this as a funny story, but she was away the other day and the weekend, and I was supposed to be looking after Zach, and I may have overslept a little bit. Zach's my 10-year-old son, by the way. And he snuck down at 5 a.m. to watch TV and asked me to go with him. And I said no. And I woke up about 7:30 and thought I'd check on Zach. And he was running around the kitchen. He'd got a whole bag of fruit pastels. He climbed up into the cupboard and just had them all for breakfast. Like, and obviously that's the thing, but that's pure maturity. Like, he cannot say no. There's probably lots of people listening going, well, I could scoff a whole bag of fruit pastels. But imagine if you're like 10-year-old size, like, you know.
Well, also a lot of people listening probably thinking, oh my God, yeah, been there, my kid's done that as well.
Yeah, and it's running around the kitchen. But it's just like, you know, he couldn't say no, and that's absolutely fine because he's immature. Mm-hmm. So I think that's the thing, and it's just a game of maturing. I think every day is how can I mature, and also you catch yourself. Like, I messed up. I was saying when I came in, I was complaining about someone I had an interaction with earlier, and it was a bit of a back and forth. And on reflection, I could have been a bit kinder. I could have been a bit less blunt. I could have been more curious to see why she was taking a position I thought was absurd. Mm. And then after we argued a bit, and then she said, no, it's because of this, this, and this. I was like, oh, yeah, okay, that's a bit more understandable. So I came in condemnation, not curiosity, and that's not fair. But again, I was rushed. Interesting enough, going back to like states, I was in anxious money because I was actually a bit late for my lunch. And she caught me as I was walking out of the club, homegrown. And she's like, Marcus, I want to talk about this. And I was just like, yeah. And so I wasn't, and so much of it's quite innocent. Like when I have a spat with Rebecca or a bad word with a team member, it's often because I'm a bit stressed, I'm in a rush, I'm late, I'm up in my head. Like I'm not the best version of me. There could be 100 different Marcuses depending on my energy levels and mood. Mm. It's like, and if I'm low energy, low mood, I'm going to be quite difficult. From high energy and high mood, it's like, yeah, cool, let's chat.
Yeah.
And I've got time, like there's all these different dimensions. So it's seeing the innocence in other people's behaviour, not taking it so seriously, but just having that mirror constantly going, oh, I'm not consistent. My moods are up and down. I'm feeling my thinking, not what you're saying. And that is just a mature way of being, of growing that awareness, which I guess ties into the retreat company that we have, and also ties into perhaps the other two things I'm involved with Fountain and the Million Tree Pledge.
Amazing. So I want to talk about, you said, what did you say? You said anxious money and peace money. That was it. I was like, peace money. Right, peace money. So you've talked about anxious money. And I think no one wants to be anxious. And you mentioned something earlier, and you said about you were in a rush. For me, that's the one thing I've massively cut down on, which I realised was actually contributing to most of my stress, is being in a rush. Whether that's deadlines, rushing for flights or a train, or like just getting stuff done or whatever, like that rushed like energy, it just causes so many problems, and you don't think straight, and you're just all over the place. So I've had to really, really slow it down. And I think like taking that, the deadlines, and most deadlines are arbitrary, let's face it, even the deadlines we give ourselves are often arbitrary. So, I totally get anxious money. I totally get that. And I think as entrepreneurs, business owners, we all are naturally adapting to that and can do it. But what is peace money? Because I feel like that sounds amazing. Does that mean I can just lie back in my spa and just make money? Because I mean, that's what they sell the dream on Instagram, right? For the passive income. But what's peace money really?
Yeah, I think, but a lot of entrepreneurs, right, we're just naturally driven. So we could lie in the spa, but that won't last very long because our minds will be whirring. So my understanding of peace money, I got it from a woman called Laura Larius, who's based out in Silicon Valley. But for me, it's what we also teach people on the retreats. It's being in the zone where everything flows. And it's also being in that state where, like, in your heart that you're not, like, frantic, but you're still getting shit done. You've had a day like that, we've been really productive. Oh, God, time's just flown, and I've been really good, and I've enjoyed it. I sometimes get the weekend when I just feel inspired to write or do something, and shit just flows. Oh, God. It's like...
People aren't bothering you on the weekend.
Yeah, like...
You're not filled with... So I had this the other day, I had this discussion about how I love weekends. I love working on weekends. And the bank holiday weekend that just went, I worked the whole time, and I loved it, and I got so much stuff done. But that's because clients aren't emailing you, team isn't emailing you, don't have to put out fires all the time, and you're just in the zone. So that's what I would say, and there's no distractions.
So peace money is like, we've got an inner speed. I hadn't actually realised that. One of my coaches said that years ago when I was recovering from non-COVID. They were just like, Marcus, you need to pace yourself. I was like, I'm pacing myself. Like, I'm literally, like, not moving very fast. I don't know, inside. And I was like, But it's kind of true, right? Like, there's one of my favourite books called Slowing Down to the Speed of Light.
Mm-hmm.
And there is sort of like an optimal speed, right? Not completely passive, like you're just sort of like, half asleep or whatever. But there is just a nice sort of frequency you can be at where you're like, oh, okay. And it's just having that awareness to catch yourself when you get sped up. So to your point about you get interrupted by people, it's not the people, it's just the fact there's interruptions. And then your brain's chopping, like jumping around. It's like flitting across different browsers or something. It's like, you don't have to like completely like shut stuff down and go, no, I mustn't speak to people or whatever. I think it's just actually realizing like, oh, okay, like I'm the observer of my thoughts. And as soon as you do that sort of that disengagement a little bit, you can just watch them slow down a little bit. And you go, okay, like what occurs to me naturally to do? What am I excited to do? So one of my other coaches sort of said to me, he's helped me write content. He's just like, look, Marcus, rather than writing stuff for LinkedIn for next week, like, what are you really excited to write? If I said, what's the topic, Marcus? Where you said, really? I get to write about that? What would you do? I was like, oh, it'd be this, and this. He goes, go write that. And that was so easy. And I was loving it. Now you might be listening going, well, yeah, that's nice. How can you make money from that? It's like, but if you follow that energy and tap into that, and that's what's the word that
I knew you were going to say that. It was your ikigai. That's exactly what I was thinking of.
If it's around that, then that can work. But really, the way I see it is peace money is like, you're just showing up every day and you're just catching yourself when you start getting like, you're having a shitty thinking moment, or you're like, oh, that person said this, or I've got that. And because the speed of it speeds up. Like, think of it like a revometer in a car, right? Like, if you think like 0 to 100, like revometers, or let's run revolutions per minute, thoughts per minute, right? 0 to 100 is like me and you chatting now, shooting the breeze. We're quite chilled, thoughts are going, it's nice. But then imagine if like, okay, we're talking, but then my phone rings and like, I've also been really busy from my last meeting and I've got a pitch straight after this. Yeah, I'm going faster than that's like 100, 200. And you can see I get my animation, I'm flitting around. And then like 300 plus on the revometer, it's just like, I've got that. And then I think like last night, me and Rebecca had a massive row. And all of a sudden, like if you're running at that speed, you're in fight or flight, you're full of cortisol and your adrenaline, your heart rate variability is in chaos, not coherent, you're all over the place. Like, you just can't make good decisions there, right? Then you do start hurrying and you do start having problems. But the nice thing about revometers and cars, like if your engine's overheated and you're really revving the engine, how do you calm the engine down, Sabrina? What do you do?
Turn it off.
Yeah,
or take your foot off the gas first and then
take your foot off the thing. And I think that's the nice thing actually, is that like in statistics we talk about reversion back to the mean, that you have an outlier. So your mood's just an outlier and you're really fucking revved up. So if you just go, right, I'm pulling back. And people know this is really obvious shit. Go for a walk, mindfulness, whatever makes sense to you. But it's just slowing down. I think the only thing I would say, the caveat is with personal development, which you've called out a lot of bullshit, is you can be obsessed about being perfect with that, right? So I made that mistake loads of times. The 4 a.m. club, like get up early. I'll tell you really, I never told anyone this. When I was younger, I thought I'm going to try getting up at like 4 a.m. for a club. I used to punch myself in the head to get out of bed.
What?
Because the alarm would go off, I don't want to do it. So I'd wake the fuck up. Like, that was how militant I was, right? So I've gone the complete opposite direction now, where it's like, I don't have an alarm, I just wake up when I feel like...
You punched yourself in...
I was like 21, like, leave me alone. But that, like, literally, I did. This is the steady bit that's going on the trailer, isn't it? So you're like, this idiot punched himself in the head to get himself out of bed. But what I was doing was reading all the Tony Robbins, like all of that, like having goals and being militant. And again, that's just noise in head. So here's the fact, right? Humans universally do better when they have less on their mind. That's why when you're in the Affinity Spa pool, you have your big ideas, your big insights. So the game is going through the day with all these external stimuli, but trying to have less on your mind. It doesn't mean you have to do loads of mindfulness or whatever. I mean, if it helps you, yes. But I think the big thing that we teach people on the retreats is just awareness. And it's just constantly catching yourself. Okay, I've got a busy head right now. Cool. Probably not the right position to make that phone call right now. Probably not, just taking moments to just let go, take the foot off the accelerator. And that's the nice thing. If it reverts back to the mean of well-being, and think of my son when he first wakes up, so he's happy, right? When I first wake up, I'm pretty happy. And then my brain...
You don't punch him in the head, do you, to get him up? Checking.
So this is being recorded, isn't it?
Social services.
Well, he wakes me up, so it's fine. But no, it's like I wake up and I'm pretty happy for a split second. And then my brain's like, you're late for this, you got that. Like this morning, it was terrible. My brain was like a dog barking. It's like, and what about this client? And what about that in this business? And da-da-da-da. And I was watching it go, fucking hell, I'm glad that's not me. And of course it is me, but as soon as you get that sort of like disassociation of thoughts, like my mum was a CBT therapist before she retired, so like 20 years CBT. And they talk a lot about like disassociation of thoughts, just going, I'm the observer. I've got shouty thoughts right now and just not meshing into them going, that's how I feel. It's going, wow, I've got some really angry thoughts right now. But underneath that noise, there's serenity. Underneath that, there's peace money. And that's also where the good ideas are. So really that's what we try and play with. But it's so much harder to do in reality. It's easier said than done. But that's the game. Like, it's hard to make money, but we still try and do it every day.
It is. And as you said, it's easier said than done. And I was thinking when you were talking about, like you said, it's obvious, like it's none of this is big deal, go calm down. It is. But I feel like that with everything. Everything's actually so freaking obvious when you think about it, but you still dismiss it because when you've got so much going on, that's the last thing you're thinking. But I'm sure that there are so many people watching this, listening to you talking, going, yeah, it's all well and good you say that, Marcus. Like you think less and you have less going on and you just calmness. But don't you know what's going on in my business right now? Because that's what it feels like, right? Every business owner, for most small business owners, right? Like any SME, they are probably wearing 12 hats in their business, right? So they are so busy. We just sat down beforehand and we were like, oh, wait, we saw each other a week ago. It felt like a month ago because there's so much has happened in this last week. We're like, wait, this was this time last week. And I was like, what? But that's what a business owner's life is like, right? It's so busy. You're working so much, taking on so many things that how on earth can I just be like, yeah, I'll just do less? Like, most of the time you're like, I've got, like you said, this to do, this client, this person. Like, a lot of people are probably thinking, how on earth do I do that when everything's urgent? Because everything's always urgent in business, and it always is. And clients think everything's urgent too. So how on earth do you slow down with so much going on?
So you slow down internally, not externally. Do you see the distinction?
No.
Okay. You still get... But we talked about example of the weekend. You're like, I just got loads of stuff done. I felt productive in the zone. Like, everyone's got that thing of being in the zone. That you're right. I've got these fucking 10 things to do. Okay. Are you your best self when you've got that thought stacking energy? Because here's the thing, life's just a series of present moments. And you're taking your present moment to actually go up in your head and go, I've got too much to do. And what I think people don't have is mental bandwidth. That's the big challenge, right? So what we're talking about here is going, like, I don't need more time, I just need more bandwidth. Because there are some days when you absolutely fucking smash it and it doesn't feel that bad. Other days you struggle to do like things, you feel overwhelmed by it. So it's all an internal game, right? Because there's two things you can do. You can focus on the task in front of you. In this present moment, I'm sending this email, I'm writing this LinkedIn post, I'm having this conversation, and give yourself to it fully. Or you can take this present moment to go, fuck, look at my calendar, look at all this. And then you feel all the fight and flight and all the emotion that comes with that and you're in anxious money. Do you see the difference?
I do, but I still also think like I might have a day where my calendar is busy every day, as a lot of people's are. Like it's just chop, like everywhere. But some days I was able to look at that and think, all right, I got it today. I think it's also a preparation thing as well.
Yeah.
It's like, if you feel prepared for that thing, again, it's maybe the lack of rushing.
Yeah.
If I feel prepared, then I'm like, well, actually, I could take this on. I could handle this. This is fine. But if I feel like, oh my God, I've got this today, actually, I need to prep for that call. I need to do this. I need to speak to that person. I need to do this. I need to do this. Then I'm like, oh my God. And then I feel anxious.
Yeah.
And that's a difference.
But you see what you've done though? You've taken a moment, you've taken like 2 or 3 seconds to thought stack. It's called thought stacking in psychology, and think of like, flit around and say, here's 6 things I need to do. But that's a complete waste of energy and time.
I literally do that.
Yeah. But and that's just a bad habit. It doesn't serve you. It doesn't mean that you're any better at doing those things. I remember once there's a guy who passed away in 2006, Dr. Richard Carlson, wrote some brilliant books like Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, Slowing Down to the Speed of Life. And I'm a bit vulnerable here actually, because I used to be in that really anxious money place. And I listened to his audio book, Don't Sweat the Small Stuff. And he started off with saying, you know what? I've met some of the most productive, high-flying entrepreneurs who live in a constant state of peace and ease. And I was bursting into tears because I thought, oh my God, it's possible. I didn't think it was.
Oh, that's
I thought I had to be stuck in this fucking perennial sort of stress to grow a business. But he's like, no, it's true. And it's weird. You meet some people that just have an ease about that. Like I met the number 4 at Google. I've met some really people that are doing a lot. And some people just have an air about them because they've mastered the peace money, right? They're unflappable. I mean, we've just got a really senior guy who's just joined my marketing agency. He was just leading a team of 500 at Barclays. Like, this guy's a real senior player. Unflappable. Like, he got some bad news straight in the first week. This has gone wrong. This client, he goes, okay, cool. Well, let's figure out how to solve this. And for him, it's not a problem. It's a puzzle to be solved. And he does it from the sort of like, almost like he's doing a fucking fiendish Sudoku or something. It's like, oh, okay, an interesting challenge. So I'm like, why has this happened? Because I still have that sort of like infantile, sort of immature part of me that on some level believes everything should go perfectly. But he's like, he really embodies the life as a contact sport thing.
So you said unflappable, or you said you described your guys as unflappable, but it's funny because I would definitely not describe myself as unflappable. No. But don't say no. I mean, that was an overly zealous answer. Okay, fine, fair enough. but the other day, I definitely have got better. Don't get me wrong, I've got better. But it's interesting because a lot of people do consider that about me, and so it shows you obviously there's different levels. But I think that also the difference is you see me at my most anxious and panicky because you also want to like confidant. So when I am stressed, I do come to you and I leave you these voice notes and rant on them, and healthy/unhealthy is a good release. But we at least we don't let each other keep in that space, right? Because that would be unhealthy. But like, take a situation like you said, this guy at Barclays obviously he has to face all this stuff all the time. Yesterday we went to go, myself and the team that helping run TEDx Shoreditch. I'm going to say this because by the time this comes out, hopefully it will have been sorted and we'll have actually run the event. But yesterday we went to view the venue to check out logistics and stuff. And then the guy was showing us around and he was like, oh, I don't even have you in the diary. And then we were like, what? And he's like, yeah, someone's booked in on your day. It's not you. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. And he was like, oh, I don't remember this. I was like, I just looked back at my emails. I was like, it's confirmed 3 months ago.
Yeah.
And he was like, and the girls are like, what? And he was like, the event's in a month, 1 month time. All the speakers have already been preparing. They've got coaches. They've been paying for all that sort of stuff. Like everything's in place. The marketing's back. We've sold tickets. 1 month to go, trying to find a venue in the summer in London for an affordable price. Good luck with that, right? Yeah. And again, most people that would have happened to, and they would panic and they'd be like, oh my God, what do I do? The girls are like, well, what are we going to do? And I was like, I'm going to go get a drink. So the first thing I did was like, let's go get a drink. It was sunny, sat outside. And then we ordered a drink. I was just on my phone, let them chat, blah, 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 I was doing stuff. And they go, so what are you going to do? I was like, well, I've already just emailed basically every venue that I've had a relationship before, had a prior thing. And I was like, it's fine. I've got this idea, this idea, this idea, this idea. And like basically solved it within 24 hours as well. And it's like nuts. And they were like, how are you okay with this? How are you fine? And I was like, I think I'm just so used to it now. I feel like so many things go wrong in my life, which is probably not a good indication of how I manage things, probably. As I said, we always have to take responsibility. But with so many things going wrong on a daily basis, it was just yet another thing. And it's funny because you mentioned the Sudoku thing. I actually said that yesterday in the situation because they were like, oh my God, how are you fine? And I was like, do you know what? I said, all these things happen to me all the time. I said, I think I blame myself for being such a nerd as a kid. I loved puzzles. I was like, I loved puzzles, and so I feel like it's the universe throwing me just puzzles each time to solve. And that's actually how I view it. And so I think that whilst I do, like, tend to don't look unflappable to you, who I share everything with, but to the outside, I think sometimes I do, because so many things happen, like even with the big court case last week, and I managed to bounce back after that, and some bad things happening. I think that, I've learned how to handle things a little bit better, but take me 3 years ago, I was nothing like that. But again, it comes from a lot of different things. And I think if you do see it as a puzzle, I think it is a good thing to look at. I think if you see it as, and the thing is like having that solutions mindset as well. Like, don't panic, like I said, victim mindset, all that sort of thing. If you just see the problems, and I think as humans, we are so good at seeing problems and flaws, right? And we don't see the great stuff. And I think that if we switch it and find the great stuff, it's so much easier to handle, right? I mean, I don't know what your feelings on that are, but I feel like that's what we're all capable of doing.
We are. It's not in our nature, though. So humans evolved to survive. We didn't evolve to be happy. We didn't evolve to, be positive when things go wrong. Actually, fight or flight's there for a reason. It's to get us out, or to get us, to fight the other person, or whatever danger's there. I think we're the descendants of neurotic people that survive long enough on the plains of Africa, right? So, but it's true, right? Me and you go back 70,000 years, we're on the plains of Africa walking around. If I'm always thinking there's a saber-toothed tiger around the corner, I'm really neurotic and worried and always thinking worst case scenario. Then when I'm that little bit more prepared, when there's a saber-toothed tiger and we can run away or we can fight it, then the happy-go-lucky ancestors are like, oh, I'm sure everything's fine. They're attacked and they're killed before they're able to reproduce. So we have a negativity bias. That's been proven in psychology. So it's just accepting the fact that, oh, okay, we evolved to survive. This is just the mechanism. This is the hardware we've got. Okay, cool. We also evolved that when we don't have a busy mind, we're pretty content naturally. There's sort of innate well-being as well. So there's kindness there. But I think also being to remember that when there's uncertainty, we tend to jump to worst case scenario because of that thing we've evolved. And that's a good thing to remember, because often I catastrophize, right? So for example, I'm putting on dinner tonight, just got a message from someone saying, oh, I'm running late. Can you tell me more about this? All this sort of stuff. Like, oh God, what if this happens? And straight away I'm thinking they're going to come in late. They're going to miss the first course. All this sort of stupid stuff. Always jump to worst case scenario because I'm uncertain. And that was really useful. Like me and you in a new terrain, it's great that I'm catastrophizing so I can be ready to, ward off a predator or something. These are all useful things, or they were, for the last 100,000 years of being Homo sapien. It's just in the last since the industrial era, it hasn't been as useful.
But it's exactly, when is it ever that bad? All those situations you said, if they're missing the first course, even if they miss all 3 courses, how bad is that ever going to be? Whenever you catastrophize, it's never, ever as bad as you think it is. And that incident, example that you've given back in the day, that's life or death. It was slightly different, right? That is fight or flight, survival of the fittest.
Yeah.
But it isn't like that in our business, but we act like it is. And this negativity bias is so real. Like, I feel like when I try this exercise as well on people, when I'm trying to help coach them, and I'll say to them, so what's good in your life at the moment? Or a few good things that are going on in your life, and people are just like, oh. And then we struggle, right? And then I'm like, okay, so what problems have you got? And they're like, how many? How long do you have? Like, and they just come really off. And I'm like, that's ridiculous. Like, you can name all these bad things in your life, but you can't name the good things. And I just think that, I guess that's why gratitude journals are so popular, and it's like focusing on that stuff, because it forces you on a crappy day, it's like it forces you to reflect on the good things.
You can use it for your advantage as well. It's one of the things that Elon Musk uses, and a lot of like very smart entrepreneurs. It's called inversion thinking.
Yes.
What do I want to create? Or what are all the good, and it's like, I don't really know. It's like, okay, well, what are all the things that could go wrong? And then you do the opposite.
Yeah, well,
and that's quite good because we're easier to see the negativity. So just use it to your advantage. But I think once you understand, like, oh, this is the hardware I've got, then it just takes the personalization out of it. Your life isn't shit. You've just got negativity bias, right? Your life isn't terrible. You're just having a moment of crappy thinking. And actually, when that passes, a few hours later, you might be laughing with your other half or your son. And like, moods go up and down. It's never that terminal. The thing is, there's an illusion that when you're in a really bad mood, things seem really terrible.
Yeah.
And we can kind of like focus on the present moment and go, God, my life's crap. But it wasn't crap this morning. It won't be crap this evening. And I think that's just a thing of maturity and growing awareness and just learning this stuff. You can just, doesn't make it any easier. It still hurts, but you can go, oh, okay, this is temporary. And as soon as you realize it's temporary and it passes without you able to do anything, you just take your foot off the accelerator. That's how you can fall back into more of a relaxed state, which means you're more likely to make peace money. And you can trust, because you're a kick-ass entrepreneur already, you're still going to get stuff done. You don't have to keep whipping yourself and forcing yourself when you're not feeling it. You know that, yeah, okay, today I'm not really at the races, fine. Tomorrow you might be, if you just let go a little bit more. Let go or be dragged.
Yeah. And I feel like, all this stuff is so useful, and it's exactly what you guys cover in the retreat. And so, but I always feel like when you say retreat, a few things come into my head. It's like yoga and, all the woo stuff is generally what they do at retreats. And I feel like in personal development, self-development industry, as you said, there's so much bullshit. Like, what makes you guys different, and what bullshit do you want to call out in the personal development / retreat world and all that sort of stuff? Because I feel like there's a lot.
So what makes the approach to Emma and the guys that are on the retreat business, like what makes us different is we're subtractive. So we turn down the noise in your head, whereas most personal development is additive. So it's going to say, hey, Sabrina, come on my personal development weekend and I'll give you 10 new things you need to learn. And you need to start up in the morning and do ice baths and Wim Hof breathing and all this sort of, fucking hell, I've got so much to do already. Like, it's adding lots of extra rules and things to do and noise into a already fucking busy head. Whereas, like you've already said, like, you have your best thinking when you have less on your mind. Cool. We'll teach you to have less on your mind. And then from that place, you know what to do. You know how to prioritize your schedule. You know how to grow your business. Like, we can't help you to do that. You know whether getting up at 4 a.m. and doing an ice bath is right, or lying in till 8 and starting later. You know, because you're fucking brilliant when you're not in a really busy mind, stressed in fight or flight. You're the expert on you. So we don't turn up and say, hey, Sabrina, here's some things you need to do. It's more like, hey, Sabrina, let's spend the weekend just exploring how you can turn down the volume in your head, slow down to the speed of life, and still be really productive. Like, one of the favorite exercises I have, we do on the retreat, which I love, is the don't care exercise, right? Which basically you get the whole weekend getting in the zone, and then you get someone to coach you, and you basically say, what do you want to achieve? And the other person has to interrupt with, tell me more or don't care, depending if they're making an excuse. It's just like, oh, I would do this, but I'm a bit nervous, or don't care. And it shuts down that, oh, that's just, I'm feeling the thinking. And there's nothing actually stopping you going ahead. It cuts out the bullshit. Whereas if you start saying, you know what, okay, Tuesday at 4 o'clock, I'm going to call this person. Brilliant. Tell me more. What are you going to say? Well, I'm going to really listen to them and make sure that, we're a right fit for their company. Brilliant. Tell me more. But I don't know, actually, maybe it's not a good time for them. Don't care. And it's just, so it's not just a retreat to like be zen. I think that's the struggle with a lot of retreats, is that, lots of yoga and smoothies. There's a little bit of that, as you know, but it's actually about slowing down to the speed of life, getting in the zone, and then going back in a more resilient place so you can actually make some money from a peaceful state that's sustainable. Because entrepreneurs will never stop. We'll always be doing something. We're wired differently, I feel. There's that book called Driven, and it talks about how there's particular genes that lots of entrepreneurs have. So once you accept that you're always going to be doing something, it's how can I do it about the collateral damage? How can I do it sustainably and having a lot of fun with it? Because when you're in the zone, it's fun, right? It's like when you play a really good game of chess, or I play a great game of football, and time sees I remember I used to be captain of my basketball team. There's a couple of games I'll always remember. One game I was playing rugby once where time seemed to slow down, and it just, like, every play the team did just seemed to work. We were all sort of in sync. I don't know why. We all sort of fell into the zone, into that peace money. By the end of it, we were exhausted, but I didn't feel like I was pushing myself. I was like, and then we won those games, and it just seemed to happen. You see that with great performances in art, in sport. And it's like, how can we get into that? And I think what we show people is that's almost your natural state, because children have that a lot. They're playing, they're in the zone. And what takes us away from it is a busy, frantic mind of lots of noise, lots of phones, all the rest of it. So we just showed people how to slow down to the speed of life, and it tends to work out pretty well.
So I want to actually ask you personally about that now, because I feel like you've given some great advice. You've told us what you guys do to help other people, but what are you doing to help yourself? Because you mentioned a couple of things. You've mentioned that you were very much, you took a distance from the business and you came out of the business, but now you've jumped back in.
Yes.
And you also said that you've not handled, your staff well in terms of so how have you managed your own internal speed and slowing down, or what have you done for yourself? Because why are you suddenly back in the business now? How has that affected things? Because you help other people, but are you helping yourself?
Yeah, variably, right? And every day is a learning day. Actually, at the beginning of this podcast, we started doing the first 3 or 4 minutes, I had to stop and say, Sprint, actually, I'm not feeling it. I'm really in my head thinking about my answers. I don't want to do that. I want to really slow down and just be real with you. Because I was worried about, if I give this answer, what would, Rebecca think if I said like this? And what would my friend think if I described myself as an entrepreneur, not business? Like, what the fuck am I doing? So I just really stop, give me a second, right, breathe, cool. Now let's play from that state. So I'm still playing with it. I haven't mastered it, but the fact I'm calling bullshit on the noise in my head and going, it's too noisy, give me a second, let me slow down. Now I can handle it. I'm there. But no, I fuck up all the time. I fucked up this morning when I was interacting with someone at Homegrown, and she caught me on the way out. And I had an argument with her, slight disagreement, and then I caught myself to sorry, look. So I'm in a rush, right, okay, tell me what's going on for you. Oh, okay, all right, I understand now, sorry, I'll think like that. So it's just a game of constantly catching yourself. But yeah, no, I stepped out of the business because the business was running really well with a senior leadership team, and the last year wasn't so good for us. So I've come back in, and there was some stuff that the guys had done, which I was like, I wouldn't have done that. And I had to be careful, to not piss lots of people off, and I probably did, because it's hard to hide your dismay at points. So I'm constantly learning, but I think the fact that I'm in the game trying to get better, I'm trying to grow that maturity, trying to catch myself, means that I will, in the same way that I'm exercising every day from this year. And there are some days I can only do maybe 50 press-ups because I'm really fucking rushed, but every day I'll try and do something and I'll bugger it up, and I've got golfer's elbow now. It's always up and down. But the fact you're turning up each day and trying to grow that awareness, and you've got that distinction. I think that's the thing. I know about this distinction, I'm calling it anxious money or peace money, that I can be in the zone more and try and get into that flow state. That's the way I'm handling it. So the answer is variably. I'm not a master yet, but all I can do is just keep learning and getting better. Right? You just need that feedback loop. I think that's the thing. That's how compounding works. Everything's should be a flywheel. If you want exponential growth, you think of the 80-20 rule. Anything that's top of that Pareto curve that's really extreme is because they're powered by feedback loops. That's it. But you need feedback to get the loop. And a lot of people, they don't. They sort of go through life linearly because they never ask for feedback, right? So the old version of Marcus would have had that interaction with that person at Homegrown and would have been like, well, fuck her. She's wrong. Don't care. I would have started the podcast and gone, yeah, I'm up in my head, but fuck, I'm going to keep going. Yeah. I don't care, I'm going to keep, and it's just no, I need to stop and catch myself and just learn, and giving myself feedback, getting it from other people. That's the only way you can do it. And again, it's growth mindset versus fixed mindset. It's maturity, but yeah, variably and failing lots, but doing with a smile on my face and getting back up, right? I'm getting tackled on the pitch, heavy contact, getting back up and going fine. Miss the goal, bollocks, take another shot, right? Footballers have to go play another game.
Unless you get benched.
Yeah, go play in the lower leagues then, right? But it's like John Terry missing that penalty in the 2008 Champions League final. He said that he's still haunted about it to this day. But he had to go out and still play,
But that's it. So say if you do get benched, right? Yeah. What does that look like for a business owner? I guess it looks like scaling down your business, or cutting back in some ways, taking on smaller clients before, but you can always still build back up. I think that's what people don't realise. They see those setbacks as a failure. And I think there's too much pressure on that, saying oh, you've had to let go some of your staff, you've had to do this. But like you said, you could always build back up. You could always get bigger, and you could always make more money. But sometimes it's right to step back to go back up again.
You're a poker player now, very successful on, world tour, etc.
I mean, very successful is very debatable, but I play poker. But
Yeah, I play poker not as well as you, but as I was saying, we use a chip and a chair, right? We've all had our stacks. Forgive me, people don't play poker, but all had our stacks go from like almost nothing.
Yeah.
And then you go all in on one final, and then you build it back up.
Yeah.
And as long as you're alive, as long as you're breathing, there's that Jocko Willink video, Good, where it's just like everything bad ever happened, you just say good. Good is an opportunity to get better. And actually, you know what? Like this year, the beginning of this year has been really tough in business for Fountain, for me, but etc. I've learned so much more this year than I did in the last year and a half being out of the business. Yeah, loads more. Like I got slightly better at networking when I spent my time networking in London for the last year and a half. But no, I'm so much sharper now. Like, I'm better at closing the pipeline quicker, right? Because I'm going out and finding advice to solve real business problems in real time. I'm better at winning back lost clients. I'm better at upselling, cross-selling, expansion selling. I'm better at lead gen. And I've got better strategies than we ever had before because it's been harder. The market's contracting, therefore I need to get better. And the nice thing is that, it's sort of a bit ruthless way, but in a year's time when things bounce back, there'll be fewer competitors for me because not everyone survived and I'm even sharper than before. So it's good.
So I've got a question for you then.
Go on.
So you just said you've learned so much more in this last year and a half, obviously a massive progression, personal growth, all that sort of stuff. That's amazing. But obviously before that, you were doing much better as a business, rolling in the money. Like, would you rather have a profitable year for your business or that growth of the personal growth again if you had to repeat that next year?
I'd like to vary each year.
I knew you'd say that. You can't have both. You can't be pitching here. I would like to know, like, which one do you feel would you do again if you could do it next year? Bear in mind, like, you're not going bankrupt. So you're not like, but which one would you actually prefer? Like a really good money year, like that you're doing stuff, but actually you're just a bit meh. But whereas like you grow massively, but you're not losing staff or whatever. But it's really tough.
I would like to repeat this year because I reckon I could do it better. Because I fucked up with a lot of things and I had moments and I fell out with my co-founders at points and I messed up and had to go back. But I remember one said, look, I was just scared of like this business really shrinking. And that's why I got RC in that meeting. And I learned a lot and I'd love to just rerun the year with what I know now. And I'd be a lot better. I'd be a lot more peace energy. So it would be better. If I'm being really honest, the year when I was out, but just networking lots. And you saw me, I was having a great time. It was a networking dinners and parties. I had a really good time. But part of my heart felt like I was abandoning the business a tiny bit. Part of me felt like I wasn't growing. I kind of knew that deep down, but it was covered up with lots of late nights. Sober late nights, because I gave up drinking, but, out in home house causing trouble, meeting brilliant people, learning from just conversations and connections. But you can learn from conversations, you can learn from listening to podcasts, but, life's the best teacher, isn't it, right? Being really in the thick of it, your businesses, you've lost a few clients, you're not paying yourself this month. You haven't to let a couple of people go, like it looks bad, you don't know where to turn. It's like, right, okay, let's settle down and let's make a plan. Let's follow that plan.
Wow. I feel like I'm quite impressed that you picked that, which again shows you like there's no monetary value on growth. There's exponential monetary value, I guess, on personal growth, which is amazing. So I guess parting words, I'd like to know what your advice is for other business owners out there who are looking to grow personally as well, and just to like if they feel they're up in their heads a lot and they see themselves anxious money, how do they get to the peace money side?
Yeah, I think parting words is, look, like the most important person in your business is the customer. You can connect with them so much better when you're not in your head and you're in the room and you're with them and you're listening to them from that peaceful place, from peace money, right? You can serve them better. You will see opportunities that you will miss. There's an opportunity cost of being busy and stressed and up in your head. And then over a long enough period of time, there's that collateral. So short of obviously coming on our retreats, but won't be a shameless plug. Like there's some brilliant books like Slowing Down to the Speed of Life, Stop Thinking, Start Living. Like just Google some of those books. There's a brilliant coach that I've worked with called Michael Neal that teaches this sort of stuff. Laura Larius, I should shout her out. She gave me the distinction between peace money and anxious money. But really just realize that it is possible to not feel this stress, not have this burden, and still be super successful. Because that's the dream, right?
Yeah.
A lot more money and success and a lot less stress. And if we can find a way to do that whilst enjoying the ride, of course, like there'll be moments where it's shit, it hurts, but I would still lace up and play football, even if I know there's going to be a few crunching tackles, right? Yeah. Life is a contact sport, but I'm going to go out and play because I love the fucking game. Even if I'm going to get bruised, I'm going to still walk with a smile on my face, having banged a few goals in, and if not, I've learned.
Exactly.
Score next time.
I love that. And I'll put all the links to those things that you mentioned in the show notes. And I will give you guys a shameless plug because I've been on your retreat and it's done me wonders. And that's the reason why I am able to handle things a lot better. And that's the reason why I feel a lot calmer. So I'm more than happy to give you guys a shameless plug. And Reconnect weekends are brilliant. And I've loved it. And I think that any business owner who feels a little bit stressed, who feels like they're up in their head, should spend the weekend doing that. And because I thought it was brilliant.
Thank you. We return. You've done two. So yeah.
And I'll probably come back again. But thank you so much for today. Honestly, I feel like I've learned loads as well. And I think that's why we both are big on personal growth and personal development. But these kind of conversations, they're always so insightful. And no matter how many books you read or whatever, there's always something you can learn from people. And I've learned something from this conversation. I think it's been really insightful. So I hope that everyone else has too. So thank you, Marcus, for coming.
Thank you for having me on. I hope it was helpful.